God. Look.
You're kidding. Look at this.
Up now. I don't know.
There seemed to be more tornadoes in the spring of 1990 than any time before. That was an illusion, of course. More people had home video cameras, and they recorded every shape and size, every darting tail that kicked up dirt and debris, some perilously close. In many ways, it was a normal spring, the tornado season, and they spread destruction throughout the Midwest. Few sights are more terrifying, like watching a coiled snake strike. Our new perspectives of the tornado have given us a better understanding of one of nature's most devastating phenomena. Like this video shot from a television station helicopter near Minneapolis, Minnesota.
This is spectacular. This is spectacular. We have debris thousands of feet in the air. There are flash fires on all the high-tension wires. We're about 3/4 of a mile from the actual touchdown at this time.
The chopper followed so closely, we can study the development and progress of tornadic winds. Even watch trees torn from the earth and sucked up into the giant whirlwind. Its rotational speeds are estimated to be near 300 miles an hour, but they could reach 500.
Right now the tornado is located over a wooded area, and it is tearing up trees, and it's ripping entire pine trees into the air, thousands of feet. I don't know if it has damaged any houses. I won't be able to find out until later on.
We've learned much about tornadoes over the years, but the only way to handle them still is to get out of the way. On August 28, 1990, the weather in the Midwest was typical summer, hot and humid. The small rural town of Plainfield, Illinois, some 30 miles southwest of Chicago, was quiet in the mid-afternoon, waiting for the day's work to be over. For the children, it was the official end of summer. More than a few people looked forward to the dark clouds moving in from the northwest, hoping they would break the hot spell, never dreaming of what those clouds would bring. We know now they spawned a tornado with winds of more than 300 miles an hour, killing 27 and injuring more than 350 people. In our newsroom in Chicago, the first bulletin at 4 o'clock gave little hint of the size of the disaster. It wasn't until 6:15, when our first aerial pictures arrived, that we understood the full scope of what had happened. We're going to swing over to Elizabeth Vargas. She has reached a grade school, and I hope that that grade school is not behind you, Elizabeth. This is the most devastating scene we have seen so far.
Well, I'm going to step back and let you take a look at some of the pictures right here. These are the homes directly across the street from the grade school, and then if we'll pan over past this fire truck that's backing up, you can see the grade school itself. It was, the windows are blown out, the light poles are just bent over in what looks like to be silly putty instead of steel that these things are normally made out of. It just keeps getting worse, gentlemen, as we go further and further into the town of Plainfield. Some of these homes only have a few walls standing. There are a few of them. If we'll pan over to our left, Mark, you'll see that there are some homes that aren't even standing at all. They're just piles of rubble. Right now we've got the work crews you can see in the bright yellow jackets going through some of this wreckage, trying to see if there's any survivors. Anybody left at all that they can help out. So reporting live from Plainfield, that's the scene right here, and it is devastating. Bill Walter, back to you in the newsroom.
Elizabeth, while you have been reporting there, we have been looking at some aerial helicopter shots just moving over the area, and you really do get a scope. This looks like a school. I'm not sure whether this is the Plainfield High School or not, but you can see that the houses right across the street is just gone. Amazing pictures. John Drummond is in the helicopter. John, can you hear us?
Bill, I can hear you loud and clear.
Is that the Plainfield High School?
Well, you went over it, yes, and as you saw, the destruction out here in Plainfield, ladies and gentlemen, is total destruction. It's unbelievable. And Bill, you recall, as we're now proceeding east to come over another area, roofs off, of course, trucks overturned. I will tell you right now that recall, some of you viewers, well back, of course, in 1967, we had the tornado that hit southwest suburban Oak Lawn, 32 people killed. I don't think the destruction, however, in that tornado could match this.
I agree. It was about a mile long, and this looks much, much worse. They bore the whole brunt of it down. And look at that stretch.
This stretch, it just came in here apparently without warning and cut this swath right through this area. As you're overlooking the town of Plainfield right now, it just looks almost like a World War II scene. Seriously, that's the only thing you can compare it with. We've had tornadoes down here before. People have called this alley Tornado Alley, this area rather. Le Mans had one in 1976. There was a great deal of destruction then. We've had it on Highway 52 in the Joliet Plainfield area before. I was down here in 1988 on one. This, by far, at least in the opinion of this observer, is by far more dreadful. The destruction is more unbelievable. I'm going over, you can see a boat, a motorboat that was unscathed, but everything else is just in ruins down there.
John, how far away from the center of the village, from the shopping centers and the governmental offices is all this? What was missed by this tornado?
I can't give you a fix on that, Walter, from my position here, as I'm looking southeasterly right now.
Incredible. You haven't turned at all. You've been moving. Maybe it is 5 miles long, as we have been reporting. Now, the first thing, John, that comes to mind are the people. Did they get out? It's a wonder. We still have some crews. Look at the leaves.
How could they?
And everything stripped. I've never seen anything like
How
that.
could there be?
Could be this could be Crest Hill.
It could be.
Yes, they had a 48-unit apartment complex that was flattened, and that may be it in that apartment area.
Well, here the roofs have been taken off, although the damage, in one area, there's one unit or one building that's taken the brunt of it, several of them.
We do have reports that there is no word yet on the fate, look at that, like a dollhouse, on the fate of those living in 2 Crest Hill apartment buildings.
Up ahead you can see lots of emergency equipment. I can see fire department ambulances and, of course, fire equipment, as well as representatives from various law enforcement agencies, squad cars.
You're coming up on another one. You can look right down in. You know, the emergency authorities are telling us that there still may be people trapped inside.
Well, that's what
there they are, digging through the rubble and looking for them, trying to go through.
We hear about Mother Nature going on a rampage. It's a cliche, but when you see something like this, you see what it can do. Take a look at those pictures, Bill and Waller. I think,
John,
it says it all.
I have a report of 9 people found dead in a cornfield next to the apartment complex in Crest Hill. It's speculated they were blown from the building. Now, if there are 9 there and 6 in Plainfield, we're quickly mounting with our statistics up to at least 15 dead.
There's one picture here which I find really incredible, and that is up in that tree there is a dumpster that has been lodged by the force of the wind on the top of that broken off tree. It's just embedded there. Here behind me there is a truck that has just been pushed over totally. You can see that the force of the wind just knocked the truck on its side. It's still here.
The force and the fury of the storm is stunning. The twister blasted through homes, spraying debris for hundreds of yards. Power lines are snarled like strings. Trees are snapped like twigs. Victims say they had no warning.
We do have a tornado siren here, and I was here right after it hit, and there was no sound whatsoever.
Well, I didn't have TV or the radio on, so if there was a warning, I didn't hear it.
Any sirens at all?
No, no sirens, nothing.
Our neighbor next door did say that all the warning was that there's a tornado watch, and that was all.
Among the hardest hit, the St. Mary's Church and School. The steel parish steeple is twisted and dangling. A car is embedded in what appears to be the school lunchroom. Above the school stands a tornado siren, silent in the face of this storm. The children had just left class for the day, but the school principal was still inside and died when the tornado ripped through. The high school football team was practicing nearby and made its way into the school just in time.
And then all of a sudden our ears started popping. And then we heard big crashes, and we all jumped into the corners of the high school, and the roof was shaking up and down, and a big hole got in the roof.
So everybody ran for the walls. The coaches told us to get up against the walls, and the girls were getting ready for a volleyball game, and they were in the bigger gym. And the lights went off, and as soon as they came out, the whole gym was gone. And usually you can look in the door and see a gym, but all you could see was trees.
What does it look like now?
The
only thing that's standing was the hallway that we were in.
I thought we were gonna die.
Residents wandered through the wreckage, searching for anything they could save. In one home, the bedroom wall was ripped out, but just inches away, a china vase still stands unscathed. Many are left shaken, shocked at what has happened, at the devastation and the destruction Mother Nature has wrought.
Driving to this apartment complex, we saw numerous areas where the tornado had hit hard, other areas where it left virtually unscathed. But by far, this complex was hit the hardest. Mangled cars piled atop the remains of what used to be an apartment building. It was over in minutes. To those who experienced it, it was like hours.
The kitchen went in and the bedroom, and we was in the living room watching TV. Then it went out and we just went on the floor.
I just got on the floor and everything started flying past the window, and I stayed down till it was over and went downstairs in the basement.
Some of those who died here amidst the destruction. But most searchers say ended up here in an adjacent cornfield.
That's where most of them were found.
Children or adults or both? Were they blown from the apartment?
Blown from the apartment, as far as we can tell, yeah. Well, right now we're tearing apart the building, making sure that there's no more people inside.
A helicopter circled overhead for much of the evening looking for more bodies, while firefighters and volunteers carefully sifted through shattered apartments, hoping for miracles.
No. Tonight, this is the highest priority officials have set for emergency workers. The painstaking search from house to house to make sure no victim has been overlooked.
And the school, we could just split up and do that before it gets dark.
Workers carefully plotted exactly how they would proceed.
Primary searches have been done. Now we're going through and starting to do secondary searches and make sure we didn't miss anybody. So that's what we're doing right now.
Out in the neighborhoods, residents looked over what was left of their homes. Others mourned people they had lost. These people were grieving near the scene where 2 nuns were killed. It's this kind of human suffering that motivates workers and volunteers.
This is the worst situation we've had around here in a long time. We just felt I needed to come help.
I care, and I know I can do some help.
It may seem like they're just standing by, but this is one of the most important teams you could assemble after such a devastating tornado. They're not paid to do this. You see, most of these people are volunteers.
Those that are volunteering either have the star on the one arm or the yellow dot on the other, or both.
And how many would you imagine have those stars or dots?
There's about 150, maybe 200 of us running around.
It's not just those with a medical expertise whose help can be needed at a time like this, but others in a very different line of work whose help is also crucial in moments like these.
We asked if we could help, and we headed equipment this way.
You know, I know this is something that could have happened to anybody, catches everybody by surprise, so I just wanted to help out as much as I could.
I got EMS training and all that, so we just said, hey, why not? Just come over and help, see whatever we can do, and we've just been here since about, what, about 4 o'clock, just running for the doctors and nurses and just running back and forth.
And if you ask anybody here at Crest Hill tonight, they'll tell you that they're here to stay as long as they feel they're needed.
Tell me exactly what this was.
That was my family room.
And you have a fireplace there?
Uh-huh.
The swing set, we can't find it.
The swing set's underneath all this junk here. The swing set was right here. With my tree there was a tree there was an apple tree over here.
Those are all gone, all down.
They're all gone.
Now, underneath the debris, it's very hard for me to see anything. Can you see personal items that you recall?
We've pictures, and all of our family pictures and everything were all under there.
My husband is a truck driver, and he had to pull his truck under a viaduct all through the storm, but he made it.
They are calling this Dorothy's house from The Wizard of Oz. Randall, if you can get a wide shot, this has been set back at least 6 feet off the foundation, and it's tilted at just that angle where in The Wizard of Oz, Dorothy's house came to a rest. The story here is that 16-year-old Mary Giddens, right here, wearing an Earth Day Illinois t-shirt, was inside alone. Mary, describe the scene and what happened when the storm hit.
Well, it was kind of a miracle that I just ran to the basement because the hail scared me, you know, the irregular sized hail. And I just got a pop and got the dogs downstairs. And then I sat down, and like 30 seconds after I sat down, everything just went black. And I hit the floor, and when I got up, you know, it was water was pouring all over me and dirt, and the chair that I was sitting in was totally gone. And
Did you feel the house lift and move back?
no.
The noise?
Yeah, the noise. There's like a loud noise, roaring, kind of.
Now, I know you were frightened of the lightning. What did you do?
After I sat up and the storm was still bad, so I crawled back under the house so it wouldn't rain on me or lightning. And then I was under a chair in case the tornado came back. And let's see, the gas was going off. So I jumped out of the basement and ran over to Mrs. Scent's house and hid in the bushes with my dog.
This morning, guardsmen aided in searching the cornfield next to the Crest Hill apartment complex, searching for more bodies where a number had already been found.
Found a photo album. There's a TV over here, too.
Yeah.
A lot of nails.
Got a ton of nails here.
In the early morning heat and humidity, they searched across the field, first going row by row north to south, then east to west. No bodies were found this time, but there was talk of yet another search. Meanwhile, the man who brought the guard in, the governor of Illinois, came in himself this morning to get a first-hand look at the carnage and chaos and a sense of the human tragedy.
It's sad. I'm sad to see this happen to people here.
Well, we're going to help them clean it up and get on with their lives. This is the most punishing, cruel kind of thing that nature can do. Hello.
Welcome to House Beautiful.
Well, House Beautiful, right.
House Beautiful.
Gonna do a little remodeling.
Just a little tad.
Were you here?
We were over budget. Our neighbors were here, and they are fine.
Later, Governor Thompson would declare the area a state disaster zone and petition President Bush for a federal declaration and the low-cost loans that would follow.
In 14 years in this job, I've seen a lot of natural disasters in the state of Illinois. Nothing in my personal experience in 14 years compares with this devastation.
Here is a steel sign down almost level with the ground. But remember, the tornado was going that way. You have revolving winds that are whipping through, and that's one reason for the terrible destruction. Another thing that's happening here in Plainfield is that the work crews are fantastic. It changes almost every few minutes. You can see ComEd already with a brand new pole that they have put up, trying to string lines and wires to bring electricity back into this area.
Take a look over my shoulder. You can see the front lawn is littered with debris, cars and debris from nearby parking lots and homes. Up in the tree, there's a quilt from a bed someplace nearby. Somebody's home, undoubtedly it is missing from. Also, take a look over here in the second floor of the high school. Embedded in it is a dumpster, an orange dumpster. The force of the storm not only could pick that up and toss it into the air, but do it with enough force to embed it into the building.
It was nature at its cruelest. Homes, cars, lives turned upside down. A force that could turn bricks to dust and refrigerators to scrap metal, yet leave clothes neatly hanging in their closet, dishes perfectly stacked in an open cupboard. It claimed virtually everything Bobby Johnson owned. It nearly claimed him.
I was buried under some rubble under there, and when I found out I wasn't knocked out, I started throwing wood and stuff off me. And then I called for my mom, and after she kept talking to me, I found her, and I found 2 kids and got them out.
This morning, dogs were walked through the rubble, a final search for victims. A National Guard helicopter made a final sweep across the adjacent cornfield where 7 of the dead were found last night. They were sucked up and blown from their homes. Even a lagoon behind the complex was searched.
I did get a little leery pulling some of the plywood and everything away from the reeds because you never know what you might find in a disaster like this.
By late morning, the search was officially declared over, though several people remained unaccounted for.
We think that those people were here after the storm went through, saw the destruction, and just left on their own and relocated by themselves and did not inform anyone.
This woman hopes that's the case. Her boyfriend, she thinks, was inside this building.
I checked the shelters, the hospitals, the coroners. Nothing since this morning or last night.
Indeed, amidst this disaster, there are things returning residents find to be thankful for. Dave Conroy wipes away tears as he picks up the pieces of his life. There isn't much left, but what he has counts for a lot.
Take one day at a time right now, see what happens. Got a place to live, kids are all right, so's the wife. And as for much more right now.
Members of the St. Mary Immaculate Church and School are grieving the loss of 3 of their own today. The tornado killed their principal, Sister Mary Keenan, while she was getting ready for classes to begin.
She was the sweetest, kindest, most gentle woman you'd want to know. We're devastated.
You don't realize it's so bad until you see it in the daylight, and it really hits home. But like everybody says, they can rebuild, but you can't rebuild the lives that were lost. And that's what's sad.
The tornado also killed the music teacher, Gloria Sanchez, while she was inside the school. And the son of the rectory's cook, Howard Hawes Jr., died in his truck shortly after he visited his mother at the church. Parents say it's tough to tell their children about the losses.
My daughter, who was in first grade, was going to be in second grade, and my boy was going to be in kindergarten today, starting today. She was quite upset last night after watching the news, and after seeing that, she was quite upset when she started hearing the names of deaths. We had told her earlier that there was there probably would be people that she knew that would be killed in this.
An army of parishioners turned out to help clean up the mess. Often the parishioners were overcome with emotion when they entered the sanctuary, sprayed with bits of stained glass, their hymnals buried under layers of dust and rubble.
This will probably be a wonderful way that the community joined together. Sometimes there's some little conflicts with people like that. When you see something like this, then they no longer identify church with the building, even though as beautiful as it was.
Anthony Eckhoff says he was on his way home from work when the tornado hit his truck and tossed it around like a toy.
Got almost to Plainfield and stopped at a stoplight, and that's when wind come along and shifted the truck sideways that I was riding in, and next thing I know it, all the windows in the truck exploded and the truck just started flipping over back and forth.
Eckhoff suffered a black eye and cuts and bruises over most of his body, but he says he feels he's lucky to be alive. Eckhoff is among 35 tornado victims still hospitalized at St. Joseph. More than 200 of the injured were brought here for treatment yesterday, a day they will never forget. 9-year-old Jessica Anderson says she remembers huddling in the laundry room with her mom and 3-year-old sister Michelle. She says their home just exploded around them.
Boards were flying all over and stuff was hitting me, and I know I was screaming and crying. And I know it sounded like a train.
Jessica suffered only a broken leg, but the tornado that flattened her home and ruined the lives of so many others affected not only those outside of St. Joseph Hospital, but also the lives of those on the inside.
Bless those who inspired us by their spirit and generosity in this crisis. Give us also that wisdom that recognizes what is beyond our awareness and our control.
This is the afternoon of the day after, and it means that the scene is changing because of the rescue workers. The Crest Hill apartment complex took the brunt of the fatalities. Large cranes have been moved in, and the street is filled with emergency workers looking down inside people's living quarters. Coming up on St. Mary's Church, the steeple gone, the inside, with the incredible destruction caused by glass from the window blowing inside. The evidence of the fury of the winds. Plainfield High School, the largest building that has been hit. You can see why there was death here. The girders went from the top down to the bottom floor. A scene of what seems to be total destruction. Someone has the American flag. These are the people who seem to want to say, we're here, we're going to stay, we survived. It's a task as enormous as the tragedy. Digging out of disaster, repairing, rebuilding, resurrecting homes, churches, schools, and broken spirits. That's the focus tonight as Channel 2 News continues special coverage of the tornado disaster in Will County.
What nature hath wrought,
Marco!
man tonight is completing.
We moved in here, and what they had to do was move out all the cars first. Once they got it out, my people came in, hand checked everything, just in case in the event there were other people in here that they hadn't found. And now we're just cleaning it up and helping out.
With an energy and determination befitting a war zone, public works crews from several south suburbs descended here late today like an army, bulldozers and dump trucks, completing the destruction and beginning the cleanup. A few doors down, the pace is no less urgent, but the cleanup is done by hand. These buildings may yet yield bodies. Most of these buildings are uninhabitable. Millie McCarthy stands amidst all her worldly possessions, all she and a few helpers could retrieve in 3 minutes. What is it like with 3 minutes to decide what to take and what not to take?
Oh, it's just like your life flashing in front of you. It's not much time.
Hard choices?
Yeah, hard.
This is an object of a search today. It was found earlier. A child had left behind a favorite stuffed animal. One of the things that we find inside is insulation or mud. The high winds take this and just sort of ball it up and then spray it against the wall so it sticks. And you look in and it looks like it's either mud or with a high velocity force has splattered it against the walls all over and inside. It can be inside a refrigerator, almost anything, really giving evidence to the strength of the kind of force that caused this devastation. I'm right across the street, and as I look over to Plainfield High School, the scene of probably the largest devastation in the sense that of one building really being hit. There are no lights over there, and Elizabeth Vargas, I know that you're there. I have no idea where, however, so I throw it to you blind. Can you give us an update?
Bill, we're out here in the middle of the darkness. Nightfall, in fact, has brought a kind of peace here tonight. The chainsaws have quieted, the choppers are finally gone, and finally the sirens, for the first time really, are silent. Now, police are patrolling here full time. They've got several patrol cars circling the rubble that once was Plainfield High School on the day that was supposed to be the first day of classes.
It's just unbelievable. It's like it's not even happening. I mean, it's like it's just a dream right now. You don't want to even face it.
It looks worse today than it did yesterday, really. I don't know, it's just that, I guess yesterday, went to bed, thought it was like all a dream, wake up, going to be all better, but it's not.
There's no heating system, there's no, plumbing is gone, there's just nothing here. You have to have heat, hot water, a light, plumbing. You have to have those things to conduct school. It's beyond description. You just can't imagine.
What did you think this morning when you got here and saw this?
Well, I spent half the night here last night.
What did you think when you first saw it?
Well, first of all, I watched them take out a fellow co-worker.
I'm sorry.
If this would have happened today, probably most of us, at least some of us, would have been hurt or injured or dead.
I'm thankful that all the kids are okay and that we were able to get out in time.
How does the school look to you today?
Pretty sad. Pretty sad.
We're going to be going to a different school homecoming. I mean, we're not going to have a homecoming.
Not having football.
We're not going to have football. I have no house. I have no place to go. Where are we supposed to go? What are we supposed to do?
It was the first full day tornado victims had to look at what lay ahead. Before them were homes ripped apart, lives ripped from that which was familiar.
Well, I'm fine, and then I was up in my bathroom, and you get hysterical because you think this is your home, it's gone. What are we going to do later tonight and tomorrow? And, we just don't know, what we're doing. I mean, it'll be fine, we know that.
This is what it was like to walk through Carol Sanford's house. Walls missing, the roof missing, rooms where her children had lived, never to be used again. But something happened today the Sanfords never expected.
I have had at least 10 people, and some of them I don't know that well, offer me their houses to live in.
All of Pratt Lane was crowded with people boarding up, cleaning up, saving their possessions. People would do small things for each other like dropping off free boxes. Others would do big things like moving a man's car out of what used to be his living room. But in spite of the loss of homes and property, people here do not consider themselves unlucky.
I feel lucky because I'm here. You're interviewing me.
I think we're very lucky. We were able to get out of the basement and walk around.
And there were other signs that things would be all right. A street sign propped defiantly on a tree. While the people here worked on this roof, Old Glory snapped against a blue sky, taped to another broken tree.
Well, it's a symbol that we're going to rebuild. It's the flag of our nation, and that flag flew over the Capitol in Washington, D.C.
And there were some light moments, a surprise discovery.
We saved the peanut butter!
And another sign that people hadn't lost their sense of humor, an invitation unlikely to be accepted. And for the Sanfords, an ending that was as happy as possible under the circumstances. Compliments of their insurance agent.
I have 3 checks here for you, Mr. Sanford, for one for $12,000 and one for $50,000, another for $116,000. And if that's not enough, you let us know and we'll take care of the rest. I appreciate it. Thank you.
It is a dramatic change. Roughly in the area that we were reporting from yesterday in Plainfield, it looks like a different place. Due to this heavy equipment, right here we have the Chicago Sanitation Department. We also have the Chicago Park District. Other communities are playing a role, but this is the story in one picture. You take the big caterpillars in, you move in, and remove the debris. Just lift it up, ripping walls that have already been torn down. The personal belongings have been looked for, the debris sifted through. The owners here say, we're satisfied, we got everything out that we can. Come in and move it away.
Some damage cannot be repaired. The people of Plainfield are finding that out on day 3 of this killer tornado. This Plainfield neighborhood, once known as Electric Park, was nestled in a cottonwood grove. Few of these huge trees will survive.
That's the whole neighborhood, you know. Was the best part of it was the trees and the way it was always shady and there was a breeze and cool down here. It's just like it's going to be a new neighborhood. Might as well start out in a cornfield somewhere and plant houses, you know. We're going to have all the maturity of the neighborhood's gone.
The city of Chicago made an appearance in Plainfield this morning. 50 city employees, 10 tow trucks, 15 tractors, a crane, and those chainsaws came in to help clear the streets of damaged cars and wooden debris.
Right now, we've employed about 10 tow trucks that have relocated, I know in the first 3 hours, over 120 vehicles from across fields and streets and all public way areas. We also have 4 task force teams that are working to remove the mature trees in this community. Most of them are large 50 and 60-year-old trees, which are covering the streets and blocking the utility companies from getting access.
For those who live in Plainfield and survived this tornado, stress is beginning to set in.
You close your eyes and all I can hear is the noise. It's the loudest noise I've ever heard in my life. And it seemed like it lasted an hour, but I'm told it was over as fast as it started. And it happened so fast, my picture window followed me into the bathroom. I have glass in my bathroom that it had to have gotten there before I shut the door.
Late this afternoon, Crest Hill apartment residents were allowed back into their homes to retrieve their personal possessions that are still salvageable. Some had not been back since the tornado struck. Charlotte and Doug Story say their basement apartment saved their lives. The 2 floors above them were torn off. The residents hurled into the cornfield. 9 of them died.
The Red Cross is making sure that these worn-out workers don't go hungry.
I just got out on the street and started walking down, and I try and alert them to the fact that the truck is coming.
Dozens of these trucks are being dispatched throughout the disaster area, a sort of emergency Meals on Wheels. So far, the Red Cross has served up more than 2,800 meals. The Central School in Plainfield. Yesterday was to have been the first day of class, but now it's a donation clearinghouse. Books take a backseat to mayonnaise jars, and desks don't hold students, but baby food. Thousands of dollars of donated goods are ready to be shipped off.
You might call these survival kits of sorts. They're about to be taken out to the various subdivisions. They contain things like toilet paper and deodorant, toothpaste, and candles.
Everything from blankets and pillows to Q-tips and laundry detergent. There's been a deluge of donations from individuals and companies alike.
Billy Herod has come here 4 times in the last 2 days just to stare at the destruction left by the tornado that killed his niece and her baby. 18-year-old Letitia and her newborn daughter live in what was once the top floor of this building.
That's a horrible death for anybody. And seeing mine, you know, my niece that I've loved for 18 years, you know, gone. And it's nobody's fault. So you don't know what to say, you don't know what to do.
Billy figures Letitia and the baby had been in the apartment only 5 minutes before the tornado hit. They lived here with her mom, but were home alone.
Oh, she's a beautiful 18-year-old girl. She just graduated high school. She just had the baby five weeks ago.
Letitia and her baby were among 9 people from the apartment complex who died in the storm. Their bodies were found in a nearby cornfield. Billy doesn't live here, but he plans to keep coming back. He says he can't explain why, but for now, he just needs to be close to the place where his loved ones died.
This is the way the Wheatland Plains housing development is supposed to look. Nice homes, nice lawns, good people here. At sundown today, much of it looked like this. Some 50 of the area's 300 homes destroyed or seriously damaged. And adding an eerie touch, smoke from controlled debris fires drifting through the landscape. But if many of the nice homes and lawns are gone, the good people are still here, hanging on.
It's going to take them a long time to get over. But they're all happy that nobody died, you know, or nothing like that.
It's going to take you a long time, too?
Yeah.
And no wonder. His 3,000-foot ranch home is gone. His love of country, like so many others in this tragedy, is intact.
Yeah. So you're flying the flag, you and all your neighbors?
Yeah, we went through one heck of a war.
And as we've been seeing now for days, people are still finding little miracles in the awfulness of this. Consider Catherine Diaz and her pet cockatiel. The bird was missing for 24 hours.
We came the next morning and found her in the house, pinned like between boards. And my son screamed to me, "I hear the bird." And we had to dig her out, but we did hear her. So she just held on to us all day yesterday. She didn't even fly away once we got her.
And a couple of other constants we've seen. People helping each other. Families, friends, and neighbors pitching in. And lastly, the ability to find something to smile about in these otherwise dismal hours.
Check on that, I'll call the office to see if it's been assigned to someone. If not,
For 2 days since the tornado ripped their home apart, Howard Bukema and his wife Donna have spent most of their time seeking help from insurance agents and relief workers as they try to get their lives back together again.
Okay, I said to Howard, now where do we go? Firehouse, Red Cross, Allstate, where do we go next?
Most of the family's clothing and other small personal belongings are crammed inside their van.
My van is loaded with stuff, and we got stuff at other people's homes and stuff. Just everything's scattered. It's unreal, you know.
Howard and Donna have pretty much accepted the fact that things around here will never be like they were before the tornado. Some of their neighbors will not be back. Their 3 children who were in the home when the tornado hit escaped with only minor injuries. Their house, however, sustained heavy damage, but Howard and Donna say they intend to rebuild it.
It's happened, it's done, it's over. All you have to do is you got to pick it up and keep on going, I guess. That's all you can do.
I think it brings a family closer together, a town closer together, friends closer together. I mean, people that you might not have spoken to for a year or so, all of a sudden you just want to hold them and hug them and say, "I'm so glad you're okay."
watch your hands, don't get any glass.
This is all that's left of the only family-owned supermarket in Plainfield.
Yeah, we want you to hold the light, Kelly, so we can start with our inventory. Okay?
When Richard Jerky came here in 1958, he dreamed of one day owning Parks Brothers grocery store. 24 years later, he and his wife bought it. 2 days ago, he and his family watched their store explode as the tornado hit.
We're going to try everything we can to get in business just as quick as we can. And maybe be less than 6 months, I hope it is.
1546.
That means counting up their losses. The health department has condemned the store's inventory, including a counter of $13,000 worth of steaks, roasts, and poultry. And he's losing tens of thousands of dollars every day his store is closed. Jerky estimates his losses may be almost $1 million. He's already received a cash advance from State Farm Insurance. Altogether, the insurance company is expected to pay $40 million to the tornado victims.
We plan for catastrophes over a long period of time, and
some of the premium dollar is there because we do need it to pay these catastrophes.
State Farm has also set up a claims service center in the grocery store parking lot. Even though Jerky will receive insurance checks for his losses, his workers won't.
We had 18 full-time employees plus like 34 part-time employees. And those are the ones that I think we really feel sorry for that aren't going to have jobs right now.
Everybody is pitching in, helping people they don't even know. Instead of sitting in class today, these high school seniors from Joliet Catholic Academy are volunteering. Groups of 30 are going door to door, helping people in Plainfield clean up.
I didn't know they made them that good.
380 students volunteering.
We have a lot of friends who lost houses and families and stuff like that, and so this is the kind of way we can tell them that we care about them and what happened.
We're able just to help them clean up and get back on their feet.
Even those whose homes were touched by the tragedy are helping out others in need. Linda Keene and friends organized yard crews to take their minds off destruction in their own backyards.
You wake up in the morning and you cry for a little while, and then you take a shower and you have a cup of coffee and you take your bucket and you take your rake and you go help somebody.
Water! Whether passing out water along the streets or handing out goods in a church parking lot, everybody is pitching in, helping to pick up the pieces.
Parents and children went through St. Mary's School today looking for things they could salvage. Generations of students have gone to this Catholic school, but now their classes will be held afternoons at this public elementary school in town.
You know, everybody's just together, what we can do for all these kids together. It's not that this is a Catholic school and that's a public school. None of that makes any difference right now.
There will be a lot of changes. Now that Plainfield High School is demolished, the 1,000 students who went here will take their classes afternoons at Indian Trail Junior High instead.
I was going to be a freshman and I was looking forward to my first day, and my first day is now going to be at Indian Trail, September 10th. So.
How do you feel about that?
Well, I never thought I'd be in junior high again.
Because students will share buildings, one group will just go mornings while the new group goes afternoons. That means students will have only 4.5 hours of school a day.
How do you think you'll adjust to the new changes?
I don't know yet. It's going to be really changed, and I don't know what's going to happen. So.
Kind of scary knowing that everything is different now?
Yeah.
You have to make do with the best of all situations given to you. You have to make the best of all situations.
Meanwhile, people still grieve for loved ones. This family lost a 15-year-old son who was on his paper route when the storm hit. A building, people say, is just not that important.
You can't say that there isn't a school. There is. It's the people, it's the students, it's the teachers, it's the staff, it's the spirit of the place, and it's the same with the church. That's really what a parish is. That's what church is the people. So that's still here, Phil. You know, so we don't have a building, we'll pray elsewhere. We don't have a school, we're going elsewhere.
It doesn't get any easier. Tonight, 48 hours from tornado touchdown, new tears were shed. Relatives of those killed by high winds went back into the destruction, searching for memories.
We're just trying to find some pieces. They lived on the top floor, and there's, as you can see, nothing left of the top floor. We found some pictures,
photo albums that belong to them.
The family's been so wrapped up with funeral arrangements and stuff like that. That's Vicky. That's his wife. She was killed.
See, there's the three of them. There's the one that
survived.
Yeah. And there's Leslie and there's Tommy.
We won for hail, then boom, it explodes, and
It happened last Tuesday, but the repercussions are still being felt, including the full-scale investigation that began today at the National Weather Service office in Rosemont.
This is a routine, a procedure that happens with any kind of natural disaster, whether it's this one or hurricanes or flash floods. It's something we put together as a disaster survey team, and they do this on a routine basis, so it's nothing out of the ordinary.
But the tornado that hit the Joliet area was out of the ordinary, and so a 9-member disaster survey team will spend the next several days interviewing Weather Service personnel and going over all the available information on Tuesday's tornado.
What we're trying to do is gather data and information on this recent tornado event, and to put it in a nutshell, we're trying to study everything from the meteorology, the forecasts and the warnings, all the way down to who heard what, when, and how did they react.
Which, by the way, is a question that continues to pop up time after time. But the 9-member disaster survey team's visit here is not centered on finding someone to blame, but more importantly, to look for ways to improve the system if possible.
Tons of debris, the piles of wood, plaster, fiberglass, twisted metal that housed Plainfield residents is now being gathered for destruction. Special permits from the Environmental Protection Agency have been issued in Plainfield, Crest Hill, and Wheatland Plains to help authorities rid the streets of ruin. For the residents in Plainfield, those flames remind them how permanent the damage from Tuesday's tornado can be.
I just look and say, oh my God, everybody's life is going up in flames. And that's just what it is. We're all middle-class people in this area. We work hard, and now we're going to be making house payments on something that isn't even here.
Barbara knows her house is on the short list for that fire. Bulldozers will be in her neighborhood soon.
They're supposed to come down with the bulldozer today, so we got to get everything out. I'm waiting for the truck now to come and level.
So what are they going to do?
We're going to level it.
Yeah? Is that hard to take?
No, when you got your life in it, yeah. There's not too much you can do, you know. It's an act of God, and you take it and just thank God that everybody's alive.
The Paydon family has been on 300 acres of Wheatland farmland since the early 1800s. The previous owners were Native Americans. 150 years later, Dean Paydon finds himself nearly wiped out.
Well, it got just about everything we got.
Paydon raises pigs here. Of the nearly 100 in his shed, only one remains. High winds ripped their protection apart, and the sows were clubbed to death by flying debris. The Paydon's corn and soybean crops are ruined, flattened by the tornado. The ripened corn will not see harvest. One of the Paydon boys is in the hospital. The trailer where he lived was hurled into the air. All that's left of it is scrap, twisted metal. The boy has a seriously broken leg. Yet when Dean Paydon looks over the destruction that was once his farm, he still can say he's lucky.
Well, it could have been worse. We all survived it. Crop-wise, the loss is there, but there'll be another year. Building-wise, we just got it to do all over again.
This was supposed to be a joyous celebration, opening day of the new Joliet Catholic Academy. But it was thought that a memorial would be more appropriate because one of the tornado victims, 16-year-old Ryan Glazer, was a former student, and another victim, 14-year-old Thomas Igizio, was a student here.
In some ways, each of them has touched our lives. For some of us in a very personal way, because they happen to be our friends. In another way, by the very fact that we are here today, and we have to realize that in place of their name could be my name, your name.
The more than 1,000 students sat quietly as candles were lit for the victims of the tornado. School authorities say the tragedy has had a profound effect on the students here. Their school is just a short distance from the Plainfield school that was destroyed. One of the students was a close friend of Glazer's.
You know somebody, and then next day they're gone, and then...
I think to talk about it is the best thing. I think feelings are the most important thing about us, and I think we need to share them.
It's been only a week and a half, but much has changed on James Street. Most of the debris has gone. Homes have been cleared away. For those who lived here, a week and a half must seem like years. There's been so much to do for many people, they haven't had time to get depressed. Even today, they were making final sweeps of their homes. Insurance adjusters were at the scene, and already the sounds of rebuilding filled the air. We last saw Ron Evans and his wife when they were sorting through what was left on the foundation of their house the day after the tornado. We found him again today in the very same spot.
You don't have time to sit there and, worry about yourself or what's going on, because you really have a lot to do and not a lot of time to do it in when you think about it. Because we got to get this stuff out of here. If we want to get it out of here, we're going to have to get it out of here this week, or everybody's gone, at this point. So the best thing for us to do is just keep working forward.
Across the street, the Elapanis were experiencing a trauma second only to the tornado itself. Their home was being demolished before their eyes.
Kind of hard to see it come down, isn't it?
Yeah, a lot of work was put into it, There's a lot of old houses through this area, and people were keeping them up and putting a lot of work into it, and just like that,
What do you plan to do now?
I may rebuild here. I don't know. We're more or less confused about the whole thing. We want to take some time and rest and make the right decision,
How do you feel now? You had a tornado, everything you have is being torn down right now.
Just unbelievable. I think I'm still sort of in shock. I just can't believe it. There goes the kids' room, and there goes the kitchen, and goes the dining room, and...
Anything left?
We saved some things. The past couple of days, we took everything out that we could possibly save, and we have it in storage. But we're still not sure if it's usable because of all the glass and things that get stuck in the material. You can't really see it.
So much has happened here in just a week and a half. At times, it must have seemed nothing would be the same. And yet, with memories of those who lost their lives, a new generation begins an old pattern. Life is taking on the look of normalcy, even before the paint is dry on the Tornado Relief Fund billboard.
In May of 1981, a team of scientists drove into a violent storm in western Oklahoma. They had a camera strapped to their van to record the spectacular event, and they saw 9 tornadoes in one day.
It's extremely exciting to see a fantastic display of nature.
Howard Bluestein has witnessed dozens of tornadoes. He is one of a group of weather researchers who actually chase storms to look for clues about the formation of tornadoes.
The public should just be aware that things can change very quickly. Things may be very quiet right now. 2 weeks from now, the atmosphere could be raging.
The storm chasers work in teams, trying to track a tornado so they can put a portable weather station in its path.
The main instrument that we use right now to measure the wind speeds in tornadoes is a portable Doppler radar. This is a radar developed by Los Alamos National Laboratory, which we can take out of our van and set up in about 1 or 2 minutes' time and aim it at the tornado.
Most people have never seen tornadoes, which suck up everything in their path. They can be a mile wide and can have winds as high as 300 miles per hour. They are powerful and vicious acts of nature which leave destruction and death in a matter of minutes.
Probability of a tornado striking one place is extremely small, but if one strikes, your life could be over, so you must always be prepared.
A thunderstorm is the mother of every tornado, because with thunderstorms come the dramatic atmospheric conditions that spawn tornadoes.
We normally start spawning tornadoes on the change between very warm, moist conditions and the colder conditions coming in from the west.
Here's how a tornado develops, step by step. It all starts when the jet stream pushes a cold front into a mass of warm, moist air. That causes a thunderstorm. The clash of the two fronts can produce a violent uprushing of air, which is swirled around by the jet stream. And the result is often a deadly funnel cloud. Here at the National Weather Service in Rosemont, forecasters like Carl Williams use sophisticated equipment to keep a watchful eye for tornadoes. They have to be especially alert in spring.
The worst of all tornadoes occur from, say, the middle of March till the middle of June, with a peak occurring about the middle of April.
In the Chicago area, the farther away you are from the lake, the more likely you are to be in a tornado-prone area.
The most prone area in the Chicago metropolitan area is an east-west band across the southern suburbs. Many, many tornadoes have occurred in Joliet, across into Indiana, and they all seem to try to stay away from the lake. Tornadoes are a very short fused weather phenomenon. They occur for a very short period of time. In a watch, be watchful. Tornadoes don't always occur in the watch areas.
The Weather Service has a tornado alert system with 2 levels. First, it issues a tornado watch, meaning conditions are right for tornadoes to develop. Then, if a tornado is actually sighted, a tornado warning is announced, meaning it is time to head for shelter.
You want to get to as safe a place in your house as you possibly can. Normally, in the basement, in an inner structure like a bathroom or a closet or something you have in your base.
You should have these essentials handy and bring them with you: a portable radio, flashlight, extra batteries, candles, fresh water, and blankets. If you don't have a basement, there's an alternative: a hallway.
With the doors closed behind me, and in a kind of constricted area, here you're safer from flying and falling debris in a tornado situation.
With the right precautions, towns have been able to survive the worst tornadoes and rebuild their homes and their lives.